Good morning, all. The Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Kattangalattur campus, in association with ACM Women Chennai chapter, invites you for the alumni chat on brilliant ways to balance scholarships for the masters and your career opportunities. So today we are having two speakers, two alumni of batch 2013 to 17 from Computer Science Department. Mr.Ajay Balasubramaniam, who is currently working as a deep learning optimization engineer at Navinfo, an autonomous driving-based company. For his master's thesis, he worked at Thermo Fisher Scientific on deep learning for microscopes. He graduated from SRM in 2017 with bachelor's in computer science. We also have here Mr. Adarsh Nair Shivashamugam, currently pursuing his master's in applied data science from the University of Southern California. And prior to his master's, he worked at Mr. Cooper for a couple of years as a software engineer. And during his master's, he is now interning at Amazon Seattle as ML engineer. He is also from the same batch, 2017, with bachelor's in computer science and engineering. We are very happy to have you both, Ajay and Adarsh. Now the stage is to yours.
Yeah. So just trying to share my screen. Hope you guys can see my screen here. It should have been. Yeah, can you guys see my screen? Others, can you confirm?
Yeah, I can see your screen now. Yeah, go ahead.
So the topic for the day should have been this, but we are going with career opportunities in the Netherlands. Here, what I will present today, and more or less the structure that me and others will present will go like before masters, during masters, preparation for a job, how to find a job, and work and life culture here. Let's start with who am I? I'm Ajay. It's a 3TU course that I did. So part of Delft, which is most popular here with among us. But I did my master's at TU Eindhoven, which means that it gives me freedom to move between universities within the Netherlands. But my undergrad is from SRM University. And now I'm working as a deep learning optimization engineer at Navinfo. It's a very interesting job that I'm doing. Yesterday, I got to ride this Tesla here in Europe. So I was exploring the features that we have been implementing at Navinfo and how are they taking shape inside Tesla. It's a nice thing. Let's talk about it sometime. And my hobbies mainly include sports, a lot of them, and music, travel, and food. Okay, so before masters, so from my experience, so most of my time during my bachelor's, I was playful as usual. So I didn't get most of my fundamentals right. So it's always in the back of my head, but not something that I made a note of. So the basics that I would suggest you guys to keep it right from the beginning is your mathematics, although it might seem really boring, but it takes shape as and when you go down this path. So your Fourier transform, Laplace, and everything, you'll recognize it sometime down the line. It comes from my experience, but you can choose to go for different fields. But from my experience. So and then your computer architecture, organization, microprocessors. This will be of a great help to you for the kind of work that I'm doing. It's of immense importance. And then your fundamental programming. Just get your pseudo programming kind of programming right. Then you're good to go. Find your interest. This is just a formality. I'm just saying you need to find your interest deep down, work your way up, and all that. Somebody else can do this stuff. And then these are the two main things that I want you guys to make a note of. Study in Holland, and there is also one for Germany that I can help you find. Study in Holland is the website where you can find like tons of scholarships. You search for any keyword there, then you will see, say for example, you're from India, you just type in India there in the finances section. You will find list of scholarships that Indian students are eligible for. To my surprise, there are 100 different organizations that provide you scholarships, which also includes like say 20 different ministries from India that fund you. So based on your region, based on probably the language you speak, based on whatever be it differences, you have 100% scholarship, 50% scholarship, and things like this. But you should also know that it is not so sure that you will all get it. But yeah, there are 100 different scholarships there. Please do check this, and there is a website for Germany as well for many of you guys who are interested in Germany. It's called DAAD. I can put it down in this presentation and send it to the organizers here, and they'll get it to you. So please check it. And the second thing is what is called EIT Digital Master. This is not so common in India. I was not at all familiar with what's going on inside this. You have like 4 or 5 different tracks under here, one of which is the most popular data science track, and then another one is embedded systems, which I'm doing. These are the most common things that people take. The advantage of EIT Digital is like multifold. uh, if you have a really good profile, say you did your bachelor's well, you have some kind of work experience, and you show some interest towards doing business, and this is absolutely the best track I can suggest you. EIT is the name of the masters that you will be doing, so, the organization that helps you get this masters. So what you need to do is you need to do a couple of courses from business in parallel with your masters. That's it. That's the only difference you're going to have. You and me, we would have learned the same things. Literally, I did my traditional track in masters, but if you go to EIT, you will do some business track alongside. It just takes you 2 courses. I think one or two courses every quarter. So I think you guys can manage. But the advantage is this: you pay much less fees here, and if your profile is good, you actually have to pay no fee, and you get pocket money, which trust me is a huge sum of money. You can live happily here with something in your pocket as well, apart from your spending. So try this out. These two things are the majority of the content that I want to give it to you guys. So that being said, this is the time before masters. And during masters, there are a lot of student societies you can join. You need to put in your time and effort there, but needless to say that the amount of time and effort you put in, you develop contacts, which is very, very, very important to make your experiences really pleasant. And also, you might get some money out of it, or some freebies out of it, if that's some interest. You gain a lot of experience if you join a student society. Say there's this society called Firefly. They fly drones here, and they work really closely with the government here. So that experience matters a lot. Once you graduate, this will take you places, and you'll be the master of your domain then. Yeah, and you can definitely do a lot of part-time jobs. Teaching assistantship is possible. Research assistantship is possible. And yeah, so to talk about teaching and research assistantship is this: that you guys work really close with the professor. There's even European scholarship that you can apply for. So you'll be working like the DRDO projects in India, ISRO kind of projects here in Netherlands. Or anywhere in Europe, you'll be working on such things. So one cool project that I was interested in working in was the satellite launch here. The students together from Delft, Eindhoven, they do like 10-20 students here. They work on launching a satellite from scratch. That's something interesting. So there are tons of things going on like this and this. Yeah. There are internships, thesis, and external projects that you can work for. All of this, I would suggest, if you have this inclination in going towards an industry, please do apply for internships at an industry. You can always do it within the university, but if you want to take a different direction than research, then please go here. For thesis, my experience is that I did not have much of knowledge about AI and deep learning before I started my thesis. So for my thesis, and because of my interest, I developed it, and that led me where I am right now. I was able to quickly combine what I was saying from before. From here, the computer architecture is my strong suit. So I was able to combine computer architecture, which comes from my title, the optimization engineer. So this optimization comes from computer architecture, and the deep learning part comes from my thesis. So you can find your niche, you can find where you can time it, and if you get it right, you'll be sought after. So the industry will look for you. So there's a huge scope for you guys. So that's during your masters, you can enjoy your time here. And in Europe, especially, I have to give you guys this heads up. You have a visa to 29 different countries, and I've only been to 9 countries so far, and you can explore all of them. You have a visa to all of them. So while doing all this shit, you can also take care of your traveling quest. There's a huge variety of things you should see here: cliff jumping, paragliding, whatnot. Tomatina festival from Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara kind of things. You can do all of this. So check that out. Besides this as well. Yes. So preparation for a job. Learn Dutch from the very start. This is something everybody says. I wouldn't say it's a myth. It's a 50-50. It depends on what kind of job you want to go as a developer or something like what we do here. Dutch is not 100% mandatory. The Netherlands is one of the most English-spoken country here, so it's not mandatory. But learning Dutch is a good to have. So you reduce one opportunity to go jobless. So not that you will. Experiences do count. This industry and thesis, I was saying, when you want to go to an industry, if you stick to your internship and thesis at an industry or company, you get hands-on with different tools, and yeah, you even get experience in publishing papers, which companies in Netherlands are very much looking forward to. As much as you publish papers, generate patents, they're really happy. So yeah, fundamental understanding of your subject, please do get it right. It's not, masters is not always about minting or making money. You can get lost if you don't get your subject right. That is from your bachelor's, right? From now on, wherever you are, whatever year you're doing. So from here, please get your computer architecture, mathematics, and fundamental programming, and from your masters, from my course, I should say. There are a lot. Real-time systems is one of the best courses, I should say. Here there's embedded computer architecture. So all of this, please do get it right. Industry versus research, you can take sides. You could be a researcher, you could be an industrialist, you could be a businessman. There's another interesting tag. So if you guys follow this EIT, you can really start a startup here. That's something, if you guys are interested, I'm putting my mail down here. Contact me. You can be an entrepreneur here. You have all the financial support, mental support, and even subjects. Everything. You have an incubation center here. It's very easy to get your idea up and running. You can get your squad here. So there are 3 different things you can do: be an employee, be an employer, do research. So you have career fairs. That's a common question that I get from my friends who want to come here. There are career fairs here that happens every year, maybe even 2 times a year. So you can find a lot of companies 250, 300 companies to set up stalls here. Yeah. Finding a job is a piece of cake if you get fundamental understanding of your subject, right? So, yeah. Contacts, be in touch with your teachers from your bachelor's, here in master's, you have in-house days, you guest lectures. So that's how I got my internship. So pay attention to your lectures, you will get thesis, internship, and everything. You'll get ideas for it, not that it's going to be a piece of cake. Of course, there'll be an interview or something like that. And then working life. Yeah, so you will have your visa, no problem. So you, as soon as you have an offer, you will get a 1 year contract, or if you get an indefinite contract, you will get visa for life, let's say. But they always give you a 5 year visa and then renew it. But typically or practically, it is a full-time visa. But if you don't manage to find a job right after you graduate, you have 1 year to look for it. That's called zoekjaar, which means in Dutch it's search year. So you have this visa, and that's not going to be an issue at all. And Kennis migrant means knowledge migrant visa, which is what you guys along with me will get if you apply here. So it's an interesting way that they call us. And sponsor list, that's typically your company, or if you have a job here, you want to get your wife here, you will be the sponsor, or it's depending on you that your wife gets a visa. Every typical benefits of yours gets applied here. You have something called 30% ruling if you study masters in Germany, which is something the ideal money saving way. I would suggest you can do your masters in Netherlands. But tuition fee without a scholarship is quite high here. If you do your masters in Germany, you typically don't pay your tuition fee much in most of the universities, I suppose. And then this 30% ruling applies to people people to welcome internationals. So that's the idea behind 30% ruling, welcoming international working talent. So you study somewhere else outside of Netherlands, say 150 kilometers from the border of Netherlands. You study there, and then you come to Netherlands to work. Then you have this 30% ruling, which means 30% of your income is not taxed. So only the 70% is taxed. So that gives you around 500 to 600 euros margin, which is typically 40,000 to 60,000 INR. So yeah, that's a calculation. Tax returns. That is something beautiful here. You get tax returns for typically everything. You have a child, you get tax return. You buy a house or something, you get tax returns. You do something good for the government, you get tax return. On everything you have tax returns. You study here. Okay, that is something interesting for people who want to study here. If you study here, instead of this 30% ruling, part of your tuition fee is returned as tax returns. So all this is there, but there is you don't know the fixed amount, so that's why I've marked it uncertain. And Toeslagen is the website where you file all this. Insurance is taken care by the government, most like all Western countries. You have a pension scheme that the company itself will take care of. Yeah, contract duration is I talked about indefinite contract. Working culture times. Simply 9 to 5. You are the master. Enter the office at 9. You have a wonderful lunch time for like 30 minutes to 1 hour. And then at 5, nobody questions you. You walk out of the office. So nobody has the authority to keep you there. So they're even scared to keep you there. As an employee in Europe, you have way more power than the employer. So you can you can be relaxed about it as long as you get the job done. So yes, and travel is the best part. You have various different terrains from northern lights to Swiss Alps to rocky beaches, and it's brilliant. You should visit a lot of that. Work-life balance is brilliant. I can talk about this for days to come. Yeah, and that's it. Okay, that's it from my side. Others, you can.
Yeah, hey, thanks,
Yeah.
Ajay, for that beautiful presentation. So, Let me just share my screen and let's get started.
He's the US variant of me, so
Okay, let me just see. Oh, I think I'm not able to share my screen. Let me just try again.
once you select your window, you have to still click share after you. Yeah.
I think my browser is not allowing me to. I think my browser is not allowing me to like share my.
You have it on Google Slides, right?
Yeah, I have it on Google Slides. So
You can post the link in the private chat here. I will share the screen and toggle as and when you
yeah, that works great. Thanks, man.
go.
I have shared the link with you. Can you just open that and
Sure. Okay. You've improvised on the template, I see.
yeah.
Can you see the screen now?
I think it takes some time. But yeah. So I'm not able to see your screen.
Uh, Wait a second. You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Okay, yeah. But okay. Let's go once more. Mm, This one now. I think it shows as if I'm sharing, but yes, it's here.
Yes, got it. Yeah. Hey, so my name is Adishan Naina Shivashanmagam, and I'm here to talk about career opportunities in the USA, just like how my friend Ajay did it for Netherlands. So yeah, let's start the presentation. So a little bit about me, right? So yeah, that's a very nice photo of me that I took quite recently. So yeah, my name is again Adarsh Naina Shivashanmugam. I currently reside in Los Angeles, California. I did my undergrad in computer science and engineering from Eindhoven University. I was part of classes of 2017. I was Ajay's classmate at that time, and I did I'm currently pursuing my master's in applied data science from like University of Southern California, and I'm part of the graduating class this year. I'm gonna graduate next month. As part of my professional life, I worked as a software development engineer at Mr. Cooper LLC for 2 years after I graduated from my undergrad. And then during my master's, I interned with like Amazon.com as an ML engineer, and I'll be continuing with the same role with Amazon as part of my future full-time employment. So my hobbies are really simple: hiking, trekking, and thanks to the masters, I love cooking nowadays and reading books and watching movies. Yeah.
Yeah, cooking is something that we all picked up after coming here.
True that. So yeah, general process about before masters, right? Like you go through this whole application process for US universities. It is like a long and arduous one. You start like 6 or 5 months earlier before you actually start your masters. So let's say that I want to get in the fall August. Fall 2022, right? I need to start like at around August 2021 for me to like put all my roadmap and all those things. It's a very long process. I would suggest you start as early as possible. And before going on with the application process, decide the specialization that you want to do, which is like very, very important. People generally go by the university name, but I would suggest go by the specialization because you know um, there are various universities in US that offer very good specializations, but they won't be generally known to other people as well. So decide your specialization and analyze the coursework that is provided by the university. It's not good that even if you're studying a good university, you need to have a good coursework as well, right? Because you're spending like a huge amount of some amount of money to come here and study. So please analyze the coursework before you apply for universities. Make a short list of universities. Like I would suggest go with a three tier system, which is three ambitious, three super dream, and then three that you're short of getting into. It's just a well balanced way to make sure that you actually kind of get what you want. Yeah, to make sure you kind of get what you want, so that you don't lose out on the opportunity. And make your LORs and SOPs on point while you apply. Like highlight your skills very specifically, because you have a hard word limit on most of the LORs and SOPs. So make sure that you highlight each and every skill of yours and make sure that they can understand that. Also, I have seen many people do this, like they just write one SOP and then apply it to all the universities. Trust me, that doesn't work. It depends on the university, on the specialization. You need to change your SOPs, you need to customize it, and you need to make sure that you relate with a professor out there, because they don't simply vet people by just GRE scores. GRE scores and TOEFL scores are just the entry gateway that allows you to apply to the universities. Once you apply, what decides is your LORs and SOPs. Make sure that you have good SOPs and good LORs, and analyze the scholarship options offered by the university, which is like really, really important if you're looking for scholarship in the US. Not many universities offer scholarships, having said that, but if you are academically good, or you have a certain kind of advantage, or if the university really needs you, they will offer you scholarships. You please do take a look at that. Excited, yeah. So during masters, right, it's a very fun time to do masters in the US. Like you have a lot of associations and lot of groups in the universities. Generally, studying in a master's life can be hectic, but it's equally fun as well. So here are some popular student societies that are present in like almost every university in the US. The first one is Indian Students Association. The next is Graduate Student Association, and then the ACM local university chapters, and then the university research clubs. So you can join any of these student societies, but they ask you to dedicate an amount of time, like every week or every month, or organize events and stuff. So make sure that you, despite your heavy or hectic schedule that you might have, you will be able to allocate the time and space for these societies, because you need to allocate time and space, else you can't be in this society. And these are very good avenues to expand your professional network, meet people from various cultures and backgrounds, and also develop the necessary soft skills needed, like organizing an event or managing 5 or 6 people under you. Those are really good skills to their employers look after when they look into candidates for employment. Ajay? So the part-time opportunities as part of doing masters is like a wide range of activities that you can do in the US. It ranges from restaurant jobs such as table cleaning, or acting as a waiter, to even research roles. And it also varies across universities and across this town and locality that the university is based out of. And having said that, not all universities provide TA and RA. For example, my university doesn't provide TA and RA scholarships for master students. They are especially reserved only for PhD students. So you need to look at that option as well if you're aiming for a TA and RA role in the US universities as well. The workplace should definitely be associated with the university, because that is a hard, immigration rule that you can't work outside the campus while you are in your F1 visa, which is like the student visa for United States. So you need to definitely be associated with the university, the place of work, and the work can only be part-time and not full-time. Most jobs pay only the minimum wage set by the state, and it also varies state by state. For example, in California, we have $15 as a minimum wage, and in some other states, let's say like Texas or something, they have $8 or $10 as a minimum wage. So it varies from state to state, and most of the jobs pay only minimum wage. Certain jobs do pay more than minimum wage, but not really high, maybe $2 or $3 higher. And every wage is calculated on a per hour basis. They are not calculated on a fixed month basis like you do in India. It's all per hour. So how many hours of work you put in, that roughly translates to the income you get. And I would suggest,
I
yeah,
was going to make a note of this. So on, it's kind of unusual, right? So the minimum wage is something not so common in India. So here it's all governed by. Also in Europe, it's and looks like it's similar in US. It's governed by the state or the nation. So you guys can be relaxed without having to worry about if you're going for lesser pay or something. So everybody will get paid similarly, and also the tax. Is it the case in US as well that taxation is higher for people who earn a lot more? So of a different band get higher taxes and low band gets a
yeah,
little lower tax. So
yeah, it does.
you guys are all evened out in some sense you're in safe hands regarding this income and expectation. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
I mean, when it comes to the US, right, I can assure you that no matter which state you are in, you will survive based out of minimum wage if you're frugal enough, like not eating outside way daily or something. Learn to cook and be frugal. You definitely live out of minimum wage, and you can even save a lot of money too. I personally did it here in California, which is one of the costliest states. I mean, it's one of the costliest states in the US where the cost of living is like through the roof. Yeah, so minimum wage does guarantee that you can be peaceful while doing your masters. So you don't have to worry too much about financial burden. Just try to get the part-time opportunity is what I concentrate on. And also try to prefer desk jobs or tech opportunities or research roles rather than restaurant jobs, because these things kind of help you with your not only with your employment but also while finding new opportunities as well. And yeah, preferring desk jobs or tech opportunities might be less hectic compared to the restaurant jobs where you have to keep standing or running around or doing a lot of work, which can be physically straining in an already hectic schedule that you will have. So yeah. Ajay, next slide. So preparation
I'm
for
sorry,
interview.
I'm handling the YouTube answers, so you can give me a
Oh,
heads
cool,
up
cool.
about change. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let me know if they are asking any specific questions on the slide.
yeah.
I can.
I'll check that.
Yeah. So preparation for internships and jobs, right? So uh, prior experience is something that matters, but it heavily depends on the role and on the specialization that you actually do in. Not every role requires prior experience, and even if you have a prior experience for internship roles, you'll be treated as good as a fresher. So just because you have prior experience doesn't mean that you have some kind of edge. You might have it only if there are several candidates like you with the same level, and that time they might prefer people with prior experience. So yeah, having a strong knowledge on fundamental concepts of computer science is a must that goes unsaid. I really can't stress this enough. Concepts like DS algo, statistics, fundamental mathematics, linear algebra, and all those things really play a huge, huge role when it comes to data science roles. And for software development roles, OOPS and DS and algo go a really long way with and SQL as well. Like without it, you cannot possibly survive in the environment that's here.
Okay,
So
you have complimented
yeah,
me with data structures and algorithms. That I missed.
yeah. Data structures and algorithms is a really must because that is the first gatekeeping tool that companies use to filter you amongst thousand other candidates who actually apply for the job. So yeah. So unlike in India, right, we don't have these kind of on-campus employment opportunities or campus interviews per se. You need to search on the job for your own, and you need to apply on your own, and you need to get selected on your own. The university will help, but not in the way that Indian universities help you. So yeah, having a strong knowledge of SQL is definitely a must. Like it could be any SQL, MySQL, Oracle SQL, MS SQL. Just learn the basic SQL syntaxes. It definitely helps you in your interviews. It does help you with your resume, and it most of the companies still use SQL, so I can't stress that enough. And also, finally, practice, practice, practice lead code. Lead Code is one of the websites that I would suggest everyone to practice for DS and algo questions to prepare yourself for the coding rounds and interviews. There are several resources available. You can see most of the companies that actually give out questions appear on Lead Code the very next day itself. Everyone posts that, so practice questions from Lead Code every now and then and often, as much as possible before you attend interviews. Yeah. Ajay, next slide. So finding a job, right? There are several avenues to find a job in the US. There is ample amount of avenues for you. You don't have to worry about that. There is LinkedIn, the university career fairs, company career sites, tech talks, employee referrals, research labs, and also tech conferences. So thing is, in LinkedIn, you basically contact recruiters, you basically contact your seniors, you basically contact other people who are affiliated with your network or who actually work in your domain, and get them to refer you. Have a contact with them. People here will refer you irrespective of your thing, and just make sure that you ask them politely, and you can. No one will say turn down that I'm not going to refer you, because doing a referral is actually a win-win situation for you as well as for them. They gain money if you get selected, and you also gain a job. So it's a win-win situation. Everyone wins, everyone loses. So they'll always be ready to refer you. Career fairs are one of the other important avenues. So career fairs are basically, companies come and set up shops in your university for like a day, like pop-up stalls, and recruiters will be there where they'll be like asking you questions. You can ask recruiters questions like, hey, how does your company have like work? What's your culture and what do you guys do? And it also gives you a chance to meet recruiter in person, which is a huge thing, because if you can give your resume to them and tell them about your skills and do an elevator pitch in front of them, there's a high chance that you might get a call back from the company for the role that you are applying. So career fairs are really a huge thing. And then of course company career sites. So you can also apply to jobs via LinkedIn, but always prefer the company career sites, because that's where the job first comes into play. And if the job doesn't if the job doesn't get filled by a company career site, then they post it in LinkedIn. So always prefer the company's career sites for finding a job. Tech talks given by companies in the university. Almost every US university invites companies, people and company spokespersons to come and give tech talks. Please attend the tech talks and try to contact the people who organized it. Try to maintain a professional contact with them, connect with them in LinkedIn, connect with them in other platforms as well, because it really helps you if you can keep a conversation going with them, and that will help you to secure a job as well. Employee referrals. This is like the golden egg when it comes to employment in the US. So what happens is that technically when you apply for a company, you have to wait in the waiting pool. The recruiter has to pick up your resume, and then they have to go through it, which could be a 50% chance for really big companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, Microsoft, and all those, because these guys see at least 1,000 people applying to their companies every other day. It's impossible for them to go through each and every resume of the person who applies. So going by an employee referral guarantees you a spot where the recruiter will take a look at your resume. It won't guarantee you the job. It guarantees you a first round of interview or the first coding round, however the company may operate. It just guarantees you a spot. Like you can skip the line and be at the front. That's what it does. It doesn't land you a job. But it's a very good thing, because if you're aiming for really big companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, employee referrals can really help you a long way. And then, of course, through research labs. Hey, Ajay, I guess the screen sharing stopped.
I think he left you.
Okay. Let me try sharing my screen again. I wasn't able to do it last time.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay.
Ajay, you got cut.
Yeah. Are we back again? Screen
Uh,
share.
could you could you share your screen again?
I am already sharing it. Yes.
Okay, yeah, now I got it.
Sorry,
So yeah,
sorry about that.
yeah, so I left it through research labs. So research labs are one of the major avenues where you can find employment as well. Like if you work in a research lab, there are several companies that contract work to the university professors. So if a company likes your work, you can even apply to them directly, and they can even get you in directly instead of this whole process that you have to go through. Of course, there are some bonuses like having open source contributions and Stack Overflow contributions. If you have it, put it in your resume. It actually takes a long way. People do appreciate it, and they actually take effort and time to look at your GitHub profile or a Stack Overflow profile. And then when it comes to tech conferences, attend at least one or two while you're doing your masters, because it not only helps you expand your professional contacts, it also helps you find a job. It also helps you land potential employers who will be recruiting in the conferences. So yeah, try to get that. And if you're a woman, please do attend Grace Hopper conference here at least once. It's free for women, and most of the universities like kind of sponsor it for you guys. So go and attend these. You have a very good shot of getting interview calls from that. Yeah. Ajay, next slide. Next slide, Ajay. Yeah. So another some caveats to remember while finding a job. Again, don't go with a common resume to all the companies that you apply. Tailor your resume for the job role according to the job description. Because a software development engineer is a general role that is given to every software engineer possible, and each job role differs by its job description. Some might require backend, some might require full stack, some might require just database engineers, some might require data engineers. So always tailor your resume according to the job description. Make sure that most of the keywords that they require in the job description matches with your resume. Like you have those skills in your resume. So always put that, and never lie in your resume, because if you lie, these guys really find out. They know how to find out if you are lying. So don't lie in your resume ever. That's one piece of
Golden
advice
rule.
I'll give you.
It's
Yeah,
like the golden
because
rule.
if you lie and they find out, they'll blacklist you. So you cannot apply to the company again. So don't ever lie in your resume. That's something that
Also,
I'll
we
go
we
with.
we never touched this part, right? So the assignments, your internships, your thesis, it's not going to be like in India. It's
Yeah.
not pulling a GitHub code. It's going to be your own. It's not some unique technologies in T Nagar. So you have to get your job done.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah.
have to work hard. You can't even copy your friend's code for that matter. If you copy, the next day you will receive a notice that you are suspended from the university.
You
Right.
will
That is
sign a pact with the university. I remember the first day we signed something at the university that as soon as we enter something like this, it's punishable under law. So
exactly.
that it's intellectual theft. So you're not supposed to do that for your assignments without proper references, quoting. No matter what, don't get into this. Do your assignments right, and believe me, that's going to help you with your job. You will be a
Exactly.
rock
Yeah.
star if you do it right. From your
Yeah.
bachelor's, not just in your master's, from your bachelor's, every single piece of line shall be yours in your program.
Yeah. I really can't stress that enough. I've personally seen people who have been affected by that, by copying and then getting suspended. Trust me, it's not a rosy scenario. It has severe implications when it comes to when you're coming as an immigrant. You can't ever apply for an F1 visa again. So please do remember that. It's not a really rosy scenario, and trust me, you don't want to be in that place. Other thing is avoid fancy pictures and designer resumes. I've seen people put all sorts of pie charts, this skill graph, and all those things. Not at all necessary. Keep it plain and simple, because your resumes go through an automated system which tries to match the keywords. So keeping it to a plain text will help you, and putting it in a very confusing format or a skill graph or something doesn't help you at all. Like your automated system doesn't recognize those things. prefer creating a resume using latex rather than Word, I strongly suggest latex because it's more or like you can create beautiful resumes using that, and it works best when you're when you're converting it into a PDF and then circulating it to other online mediums. So yeah, keep your resume short at most 2 pages. I won't say anything more than 2 pages unless and until you have an extensive experience before coming to your masters. Yeah. The next slide. Work life and culture. So work life is pretty much chill here. Like you have very flexible timings. Like you can walk into the office at any point of time that you feel like and just work 8 hours a day. You can take 4 hours of break in between your work as well. Like you can work from 9 to 1, and then I can take break till 5, and then I can start my work again at 5 to 9. So you just have to work 8 hours a day. How you work, what you work is totally up to you. No one here really has any opinion or say in that matter, except that they do ask you to attend meetings on time. That's all. In terms of work, you can work whenever you want. I have seen people work at 3 a.m. in the morning because that's when they feel like they'll get the job done. So yeah, you can work at any point of time. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to enter the office at 9 and you need to work till 12. You need to take lunch. You need to finish lunch by 1 and then start work again. You can work at any point of the time. Office here are open like 24/7. You can walk into the office, any office here, any tech office here at any point of time in the day. Most companies do offer good perks and compensation, and if you're going into like good companies like Google or Microsoft, you have very good compensation and you have very good perks as well. Here, one of the things in US is that medical insurance is tied with your employer, and there are different kind of medical insurances as well. You have vision insurance, you have dental insurance, and you got a lot of other insurances. So depending upon your employer, they mix and match these things. Certain employers don't offer every benefit. Certain employers do offer all benefits. But it totally depends on the employer, and the medical insurance is tied to an employer. If you got to pay privately, you got to pay a lot of money from your own pocket. Yeah. The compensation varies from state to state. That's because the tax also varies from state to state here. So a person earning $140,000 in California is as good as a person earning $90,000 in Texas, because the cost of living is lower in Texas while the cost of living is higher in California, and the taxes are higher in California, the taxes are lower in Texas. So it varies from state to state, but nevertheless, all the good tech companies offer you an upper middle class life compensation here. Like you'll have good amount of compensation in your hands, even as a starting employee. You'll also get tax breaks while you're still in the F1 visa. So you don't have to pay the full amount on taxes. You'll get 50% in returns. And you'll also you don't have to pay the social security tax or Medicare tax and all those other things that are associated here with the employer. So basically, if you're paying $10 in taxes, you'll get $5 back. The $5 government fees. So that's how it works. Also, pure tech companies here always have a flat hierarchy. No one here really calls people by sir, madam, and all those. People call by their first name basis. And your boss can be like 30 years older than you, but still you can just call him by the first name, and you can always skip him if you feel that if the situation demands it. It's a completely flat hierarchy. So it's a typical IT work environment that you see here. There are no hierarchies to most of the tech companies. Yeah. So here in the US, there is no concept of PF. Instead, you have it in India, like Provident Fund. Instead, we have something called 401k, which is quite similar, but varies in subtle ways. But yeah, the major tech hubs in US are SF Bay Area. Of course, San Francisco Bay Area is one of the best areas for tech. The New York City comes close to second. I mean, in no particular order, I'm saying actually, I won't even say it's close to second. So in no particular order, New York City, Seattle, and Chicago. And each of these areas are concentrated on certain domains. Like if you see Seattle and SF Bay Area, these are concentrated on purely tech-oriented companies, while New York City and Chicago are mostly financial related companies, like fintech and all those companies have headquarters in New York City and Chicago. The interview process for the companies are very similar, no matter how skilled or how knowledgeable you are. You need to go through the same process as everyone. You have a set of coding rounds, and then you have a set of technical interviews. And some companies have a culture fit interview, and this culture fit interview, if they have it, that takes a huge weightage. You can be extremely knowledgeable, you can be the best for the job, but if you're not going to pass their culture fit interview, they'll just reject you straight away. That's how it works. They look for people who can blend in into the culture. So if you're going into a company, you'll always see people who are like-minded as you most of the time. So it is kind of monotonous. You won't have varied thoughts and backgrounds, but that's how it works here. For example, in Amazon, we have this leadership principles, and no matter how good you are with your technical skills, if you can't exhibit one of these leadership principles or few of those, you will be rejected straight away in your interviews. So yeah, for internship processes, the technical interviews can be just one or two, while full time can have 6 to 7 interviews, and some companies even have 10 interviews, depending on the role and the company. But regardless of an internship or full time, you gotta go through coding rounds, and coding rounds strongly test on DS and Algo. Your technical interviews test on DS and Algo, maybe with some whiteboarding solutions. But again, it is gonna be DS and Algo based. They won't ask you anything extraordinary. You will even apply for a team lead role or senior software engineer role. You'll still be asked DS and Algo questions. So unless you switch to a management kind of role, trust me. So yeah, some companies are right now moving towards remote work model here, but it's still not followed by many other companies. For example, Twitter moved to a complete remote work model. It worked in some cases, it doesn't work in some cases. It totally depends on your preference. You can also work from remote, but remember, working from remote doesn't guarantee you the state salary. Let's say that you are applying to a Californian company and you're working from Texas, you will be still given the compensation as required as in Texas. You won't be given the Californian compensation. So yeah, do keep that in mind. Most publicly traded companies here offer stocks as like part of your employment, and these stocks get invested over a particular period of time, and that will also be unvested stock that is added to your pool. And yeah, this is the only way where you can do a lot of savings and other things. In general, you'll have a decent work-life balance, but if your role is hectic or demanding, let's say like a support engineer or a network engineer, it could be demanding sometimes, and you might lose out on work-life balance here. That's a given. But in other terms, in terms of money, you'll be paid really well. In terms of savings accounts or other things, deposits that you're looking for, US doesn't have good savings infrastructure. People here are more like consumeristic mindset. They get to spend every money they earn. So that'll be little to very few saving options here. Like you have savings accounts, but it doesn't give you good returns. So you might do it. I mean, you may do well by investing in like stocks or like ETFs or mutual funds kind of things. So yeah. Next slide. Yeah, so some caveats to keep in mind when you're coming to do masters here. Most people think that having a master's in data science degree will get you a data science job. As much as I want it to be true, sadly it is not. You need to have prior experience on data science, or you need to hold a mandatory PhD degree. Else you won't get a data science role. It is really incredibly hard to find it with just a master's degree, but not impossible as well. You can apply for an ML engineer or a data engineer, but to become a data scientist, you need to have a PhD degree or a prior experience on the field. And there are various employment roles that are related to research, and to get that with just masters is really hard unless and until you have an extensive research experience, or again have a mandatory PhD degree. And when you're doing a PhD degree, it doesn't have to be computer science related. You just need the PhD under your name to get any scientist role here. So yeah. And another thing is, don't go into a relaxing mode after you move to the US, because the real struggle starts only after you move. You need to work from day one and to secure a job in your dream company. Also, another thing to remember is that not all employers provide visa sponsorship. So keep in mind while applying, make sure that the company is sponsoring you a visa, because that is really, really important to make sure that you can stay here. Certain job roles and companies will be available only to citizens. Not everyone will actually get to apply to those. Those are really government related or very secretive operations related. So those things are just available to citizens. Ajay, next slide. One of the major factors that comes when it to decide US universities, right? The immigration, which is like a really long and arduous one. So you'll come in as an F1 academic visa, which allows you to study here, just study, not work. To work, you'll either apply for a CPT or an OPT. So CPT applied for internships. These are short duration work permits that you get to pursue your internship or do some kind of external work that allows you to work somewhere outside the campus as part of a full-time employment or a part-time employment. It depends. And the CPT is being issued only by the university. The US government doesn't even intervene in that. The US Citizenship and Immigration Services doesn't intervene in that. And these can be applied multiple times throughout your master's before you graduate. You can have 2 to 3 CPTs as well, depending upon your university's rules. So yeah. OPT is an optional practical training which allows you to stay and work in the US after you graduate for a set number of 3 years. And this is approved only by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. The university has no authorization to approve an EAD case. EAD is mandatory to work full-time after graduation. You can't stay without an EAD. And you can apply for an OPT without a job offer though and get an EAD. But once your EAD kicks in, you have roughly 90 days of unemployment days. Like you need to find a job within 90 days. So that's one of the major hurdles here. The initial OPT that is given to you is valid for an year. However, if you're studying under a STEM program, you can extend it up by 2 years after the initial year. And after that, H1B will be filed by your employer, and you usually get 3 to 4 chances depending on the graduation term to get selected in the H1B lottery. So if you're graduating in December or fall, you'll basically get 3 chances. If you're graduating in spring, you'll get 4 chances. So yeah, that's about it for this slide. And the next slide is just my contact details. That's my LinkedIn and email. Feel free to put in your questions if you have any. And yeah, I'll be happy to help you guys.
There are a couple of questions already in the live chat. So if there is time, we can go on with it. If no, then we can handle it offline.
I think quickly we can go through that.
Sorry?
Yeah, you have one thing. So they just want to know what you mean by keywords the company might be looking for.
Where this keyword context came in when he was talking about the resume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's say that the job role. Let's say that the job role is related to .NET or Java, and in your resume, if you don't have Java, your resume will be straight out rejected because your job role demands Java. So these kind of technology stacks, or the way the skills they look for, specifically you have to look into machine learning, or you have done these kind of deep learning architectures, about these kind of research. Those are the keywords that we talk about.
Yeah. So those keywords, for example, to give you an example, deep learning optimization engineer that I'm doing, keywords would be deep learning, and then of course deep learning, and then it could be computer architecture. Then they most likely will look at some of the interesting deep learning architectures itself, not the hardware architecture, but the neural network side of it. So ResNet, something like that. So if you have ResNet on your resume, it's more likely that you are going to be selected or something. So you need to know what you're applying for. This is just to prevent people from bombarding the company with tons of resumes or something. So
exactly. So for machine learning engineering, you'll have kind of TensorFlow, PyTorch, the frameworks that you have worked with, the models that you have done, and research experience. There are different facets of machine learning, right? That is natural language processing, federated ML, and a lot of different things. So specifically, companies put these in the job description that the candidate is expected to know these, and make sure that whatever skills they list in that is that in your resume.
Exactly.
Again,
The simplest
lie
way to
there.
do it is look at the job listing, and you will have the skills required. And if you have those skills, no, don't go around bluffing. But if you have those skills, then you can uh, sweetly code that in your resume, and you'll go through the first one.
Yeah, I mean, also don't reject just because the role is SDE, because my role as an ML engineer is also called as a software development engineer. My official title is still an SDE, but the thing that I work on is ML engineering. So a lot of companies go with just general terms for a pay related things. So don't go by just the role name. Look into the job description as to what they really want. I still applied as an SDE, but my job role is ML engineering. So yeah, it depends. So just keep a lookout on the job description. Don't just blindly go by the role.
Okay, there's one more question, I think, for Ajay. What is the scope of DevOps in Netherlands and even for others in US? Demand and scope for DevOps.
It's a very interesting field here. Now, DevOps is, I mean, it'll not die off very soon. It's going to have a scope for the next 15 years at least, 10 years or something at least. So I can say if you have that in your bag, then you're good. You're good.
Yeah, DevOps is one of the most sought after skills in the US. They have a specific role called SRE that specifically deals with DevOps operations. And for DevOps, I just look into Docker, Ansible playbooks, or deployment infrastructures, network infrastructures, and all this, because that will get you a long way. And if you have a specialization in networks, applying to an SRE role or a DevOps role will give you a bonus. Having a network specialization, yeah.
That was one of my first. That was where I worked for my first few days in my training. Something. So yeah, DevOps is good.
Yeah. DevOps is really great. If
Yeah.
the career path for DevOps is really good in the US. Yeah.
So I think that answers all your questions because most of the answers are given by Ajay in the chat. So now I think we can wind it up. And thanks a lot, Ajay and Adarsh. I know both are having different timings, and Adarsh, it's really late night for you. And thanks for connecting on the request. And it's like a pleasure having you both. And all the points are very well put. And I think the students have an idea of what it is now, like how to handle their career opportunities in terms of masters and their job opportunities and thing. So thank you so much for spending your time and putting out all your experiences to your juniors. And we are very happy to see our students have changed a lot and become good, responsible in this. So nice to see you both, and be safe and take care, and thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much. We hope we could have summarized. We did the job right, but always you can connect with us on LinkedIn or through the mail ID we provided, and we will be glad to help you. We are not always we are not able to give you all the experiences, good times, bad times here right away, but we can always do that.
So, yeah, you can always
definitely we'll share your links to them. We'll be sharing your links to the students also.
Great. So I will send out the Google slides to you now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care and be safe.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Take care and have a nice day.
Take care. Stay safe.